welcome to another interesting edition of the Economy and Politics Show, where we bring you key developments in the economy as they affect the households. Today, we'll be looking at a very topical issue in the socio-economic space, and the discussion is around what we expect. The 27th Nigeria Economic Summit is coming up a week from now and has as its theme, Securing the Future, the Fierce Urgency of Now. With me to have this conversation is Mrs. Aisha Umar. She's a member of the technical committee planning the 27th NES Summit. Nice to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well done, ma'am. Before we begin this conversation, let's give you a wrap-up of key economic updates from last week. President Muhammadu Buhari, at a two-day mid-term retreat for ministers, permanent secretaries, and heads of key parastatals and government agencies, charged the cabinet members to redouble their efforts and work in synergy towards total delivery of the administration's set target to improve the livelihood of all Nigerians. He tasked the ministers on ramping up the implementation of policies in line with the 9 key priorities of the administration. Also last week, the International Monetary Fund trimmed its 2021 global growth forecast to 5.9% from the 6.0% forecast it made in July. It left the 2022 global growth forecast unchanged at 4.9%. This was due to persistent supply chain disruptions and inflation pressures that are constraining the global economy's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. We take a breather, and when we return, we continue the conversation for today.
Tune in to Web TV Daily to stay up to date and informed on the financial market, personal finance, and more. We have got you covered with all your favorite TV shows, economy and politics, market review, women's series, millennial talk, Islamic Finance Weekly, The Brief, exclusive interviews, events, and we keep you up to date on all the updates in the financial market with the market opening gong. Watch premium content. Watch Web TV. Same news, different perspective.
Welcome back. And if you're joining us, it's the Economy and Politics Show, and my guest today is Mrs. Aisha Umar. She's a member of the technical committee of the Nigeria Economic Summit for 27th edition of the Nigeria Economic Summit. She also is with the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, the leading private sector think tank group that is helping to promote Nigeria's sustainable and economic growth. So, Mrs. Umar, like I said earlier, it's a week to the big summit, 27th edition, 25th of October 26th. So tell us first about the theme and how critical it is to the discourse to Nigeria's socio-economic challenges at this moment. I want to even know why you're inviting His Excellency Haile Mariam Desalegn Boshe, the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia. I used to follow him a lot in his strategies and policies for Ethiopia.
Thank you for having me again. Yes, my name is Aisha Umar, and yes, the theme of the summit is securing our future and the fierce urgency of now. I don't think that requires any explanation. We all know the situation that we're in. As you know, the Economic Summit is a convention which brings together private sector and public sector players, the leaders, to come together and talk about various issues that affect the Nigerian economy mainly. The theme, like I said, is securing our future, and this year is going to be a bit broader than the usual economic summits because we have some themes that have been introduced as a result of the current situation in Nigeria. We're going to touch on security challenges, which is something that normally the summit does not focus on. There's a bit of political economy that's going to be discussed. Of course, you know that if you do not have the right political structure, your economic policies cannot be devised properly and implemented, and so on. So this is the reason why we're having this type of a special, I would say, a special summit. And like you mentioned, you asked why the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, is being invited. I don't know if you're aware that this is a very, very distinguished gentleman who has performed excellently. He is a chairman of AGRA, and AGRA is key in this because it's an African-led partnership institution that is basically transforming Africa's smallholder farming from those little farmers that are struggling to survive into businesses that thrive. So this is an organization that is into food security. And as you know, food security is one of the issues and challenges that the whole world, not just Nigeria, is facing. And he's also a member of the crisis group, an international crisis group. And that is a transnational non-profit, non-governmental think tank, and that is basically used by policymakers and academics in research and analysis. So basically, he has a very special skill set, as it were, that would be able to talk and speak on this theme that we have. Thank you.
Very well. I mean, it's interesting because we've seen over the years and decades, I mean, what Mr. Hailemariam Desalegn Bosch has done in Ethiopia in terms of supporting its economic transformation. Like you rightly said, political structures are very important to economic policies thriving. So I now get a clear picture why he is being invited, and of course should be able to spur more conversations around how we can effectively address the political economy as a nation. Now, this summit will sustain the hybrid format. You know that last year was the COVID outbreak, and of course, lots and lots of conferences had to take the hybrid format. But what were the key lessons from the 26th edition in terms of adopting this approach, and how are you going to improve on that to make it much effective?
Yes, interestingly, the hybrid was actually out of necessity. Last year, as you know, because of COVID, the summit had to be, the participation had to be mainly virtual. It turned out to be a blessing because hybrid, the lesson that was learned from that was the fact that you could reach out to and engage with a wider audience, including the diaspora and especially the youth, who you know are very, very techy. And so because of that, we were able to bring together more people as a result. And this year, the summit is going to do better and actually capitalize and leverage on this advantage and try and make this more inclusive and bring in more youth and more people from diaspora. So the attendance has skyrocketed basically because it's now both hybrid and in person.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I mean, I like the fact that it has a wider reach, the youth, the diaspora. I mean, it makes it more interesting, and conversations continue across board. And now Nigeria, like you rightly said, is facing serious economic challenges like, I mean, the high poverty rates, high unemployment rate, and even high inflation. I mean, those three alone can really crumble an entity, a sovereign nation. And how Nigeria survived through that is another story for another day. But how will those 5 sub-teams for this summit, which you're going to be focusing on, how will it address these issues? Have you designed to have a very robust conversation that you can take those key points like you always do? That's what I like about the NES Summit. You have the key thematic issues, you take all the key resolutions, and then we always have that closing part of the agenda, the communique that is always passed on to the policymakers.
So yes, the summit, as usual, we have plenaries, then we have interactive sessions, and etc. So first of all, I would like to tell you about the actual sub-themes. Like you mentioned, there are 5 of them. The first is to do with the issue of economic growth, and basically how Nigeria is going to reverse the poor economic trends. So there'll be a discussion on that. This is very, very important. The second is the issue of quality of life, and that has to do with the issue of inclusion. If you have economic growth without it being inclusive, then it's only economic growth on paper. We want to find ways that this economic growth, when achieved, would be an inclusive growth. So that's the second sub-theme. The third sub-theme is the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. We all know the situation as it is. Insecurity has risen at an alarming rate. And this is unfortunately something that we're going to have a conversation about and find ways that we can contain the situation and reduce the tension, as it were. Then the fourth one is the political economy. Of course, as we know that if you don't have a healthy ecosystem, a political ecosystem, you will not be able to achieve your economic goals. So basically, we are going to touch on economy, the political economy issues as well. Good governance can lead to sustainable development. Then the third one, of course, as we know, is the issue of digital transformation. We're in the fourth industrial revolution. Nigeria doesn't want to be left behind. And also technology can actually be a springboard to you to unleash your political potentials. A lot of countries in Africa, especially East African countries, have used technology to do some very, very interesting things. And now Nigeria, with the youthful economy, youthful demography, means that technology is going to be even easier to deploy, because the young people, they catch on much faster. So I think the young population and technology is a combination that, if we use potential, can potentially unleash our potential. So those are the five those are the 5 themes. And I'll just add that these themes, the way the Economic Summit has been structured, is that the 5 plenaries will talk about, or are centered around, the 5 themes. And so we have 5 plenary sessions. On the 25th, which is the first day of the summit, as a Monday, we're going to have 2 plenaries, and those will touch on 2 of these themes. And then on the second day, that is Tuesday, the 26th of October, we'll touch on the 3 plenaries. The plenaries are spread across the day, and in between the plenaries, there will be some very, very exciting activities. We have, there's going to be a debate, which is a novel, it's new. And this debate is on something that is really close to Nigeria, and that is the issue of national poverty reduction. I don't know if you're aware that poverty reduction strategies, there are many opposing views. So what the Economic Summit Group has decided to do for this summit is to bring 2 players, two views, to come and discuss which is the best option for Nigeria in reducing poverty. So there's going to be a debate, like I said. There's going to be a roundtable on entertainment in between the plenaries. So that would make it different and really interesting. There's also going to be a showcase session on technology, and just to showcase what technology can do that is going to amaze people and hopefully energize and sort of get everybody excited about embracing technology. Then there's going to be a dialogue on visualizing a Nigeria of our future. And that is going to hopefully bring everybody together to think as one, and how we can have a vision for Nigeria moving forward. These are all in between the plenaries. Then, of course, we have interactive sessions, and there's so many of them that are going to touch on clean energy. We're going to talk about the Petroleum Industry Act, the new act. We're going to talk about MSEs, that's MSMEs and SMEs. Talk about food security, which is so important. Unemployment, the issue of gender, how we can close the gender gap, healthcare, you name it. Where the interactive sessions are going to touch. We'll have panelists, and then we'll have a moderator, and then each session will really key in a deep dive into these topics. So it's going to be 2 days packed full of some very, very important conversation and debates and discussions.
No, Mrs. Aisha, I mean,
thank you.
I've attended at least several of the summits, so I can tell you that it's always very interesting. But this one that catches my attention is the debate on poverty reduction. I really like that. I mean, I like debates, because debates are an opportunity for you to show the ideas and then sell to people what really are the advantages of what you're proposing in addressing a challenging issue, and also the fact that the creative industry will have that roundtable. Several years ago, I attended a session in the NES Summit where I discussed with several players in the creative industry in ways we can move forward. And I think it was quite rich, and hope that we can achieve scale from that. So definitely, from what you've said, it promises to be very interesting. But one aspect that also I really liked from the NES, the Nigeria Economic Summit, was the 25th edition, where it was said there will be conscious steps to engage the youth on national economic issues, on the way forward. I want to ask, has this been effective so far, and what should we expect going forward?
Well, first and foremost, it has been very effective, because we found that from lessons learned, that the youth are actually the, let's say, is it the engine, or the people, the youth are going to be the ones to deliver. So the way it works is that you have your policies that are going to come from experience, former presidents and so on, and policymakers that have experience that know, and then the people who are actually going to take this and run with it will be the youth. So this is going to bring together not just private sector, public sector, but it's going to bring the Gen Z, Gen X, and of course the millennials, yes, to come together and talk, because they need to really understand and share ideas. So the youth are very critical. This is something that the Economic Summit realizes. So, and like I said, you know, the potential, if you really engage the youth and you really put all that energy that they have into proper, constructive, productive use, the sky is the limit for Nigeria. So Nigeria Economic Summit definitely recognizes the power of the youth, definitely, and the women.
Yes, the women. I want to add that because the women are very critical.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
seeing
Yes.
you, Ms.
Yes.
Aisha.
I think we are moving in that direction. We're moving in that direction. A lot of the people on the technical team, many women are involved. Of course, Nigeria Economic Summit, I would say, I remember I attended the very first one, by the way, 27 years ago. Yes. I attended. I was a very junior aide to one of the founders. His name is Mohammed Hayatuddin. I was a special assistant, and I was the one, I was carrying all the documents and passing them around. I was just watching. I was mesmerized. And so, so basically, I know how far we've moved from those days of, you know, men in suits. And then now we're having young people, we're having women, and so we're making lots of progress, definitely.
Mr. Shama, you alone can even share your story to the young people of how you've evolved for about 2 decades being part of this summit and what they can learn, even the women too. I mean, nice revelation from what you shared. And as we wrap up, let's look at the buy-in of political leaders. You've been here from the onset, attending the summit. And interestingly, the several times I've attended, we've been able to see the president, Muhammadu Buhari, attending and even making statements there. But you always want that buy-in from the political leaders. You see governors across the country attending and speaking. Would you say that this has been very positive in terms of the political buy-in, the political will? Because this is very important, like you rightly said, in setting the tone for economic development and growth.
Yeah, the political players, I think now that the writing is on the wall, we know that the situation, unfortunately, has deteriorated to the point where nobody really can ignore it. We don't have the luxury anymore. Fortunately, from my experience in this as a technical working committee member, the public sector have been very responsive. As the Ministry of Finance and Governors Forum, that's both at the national and the sub-national. We've engaged with them, and they've been very, very supportive. So I'm hoping that it's when it comes to implementation, and that's very, very important. The point is that we have to, once we agree on the way forward, we have to also put in place efficient monitoring mechanisms that will actualize the recommendations. And of course, that is where the public sector, we have to extract those promises to make sure that when we come knocking on their doors for them to realize and to actualize any of their statements or commitments that they've made, that the doors will be open. So this is also part of what the Economic Summit does, is to ensure that you keep them engaged. And as you know, Economic Summit, it's not just a one-off, it is a one-off summit, but this is something that goes on all year round. Even as we speak now, from tomorrow, there's going to be the pre-summit activities, and there are so many activities already that are going to start, right? So after the summit, the work continues. So the summit doesn't just start and end on those 2 days. This is just almost like the beginning. And you carry on trying to implement and remind. And government is, Economic Summit Group is working with federal government as well on all the policy making as well. So yeah, definitely have the public sector buy in for that.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Aisha Omar, technical member of the 27th edition of Nigeria Economic Summit Group Planning Committee. I mean, it's really interesting to hear how prepared you are, the NESG, to host the nation and also bring again to the fore the importance of securing our future, the fierce urgency of the now. Thank you very much once again, and we look forward to a very interesting conversation.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to having you people attend the summit and have a good coverage so people can really catch on. Thank you very much.
That will be all for this edition of the Economy and the Politics Show. If you want to get more insight into this conversation around securing our future, the fierce urgency of now, all you need to do is to send your views, comments, and questions, suggestions to otobasi.abasekong@proshareng.com, and we would be able to respond to you appropriately on this. It's very important. Also, if you want to get the latest economic stories and latest developments around the socio-economic space, what you need to do is to log on to www.proshareng.com, and we have stories captured for you in our Nigerian economy. All you need to do is when you log on to our website, click on the Nigerian economy, and you'll see all the latest stories covering this period. It promises to be a very catchy experience for you. I mean, we have key stories for you. Also follow our social media platforms displayed on the screen. It's also very important for you. Displayed already. Get all the latest updates on what's happening in our economy. And also this period, the big summit is a week from now, like I told you. The 27th Nigeria Economic Summit, powered by the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, bringing together public and private sector leaders to discuss and chart a pathway for Nigeria's growth and development. You need to be part of this conversation, and all you just need to do is to log on to www.nesg.group.org/27. When you log on, you see where you can register and join this conversation. It's hybrid, so you may not be able to attend, but you can join virtually to listen to all the key conversations that covers Nigeria's socio-economic space. Don't forget this period, you need to stay safe. Thank you for being part of the show, and have a lovely day.